The Legend of the Christmas Tree. A new seedling in shady woodland. Lord does not see as man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. Long ago, say the trees in shady woodland, beyond when the elder trees were merely seeds dangling from the branches of their elder trees, sunbeams filtered through towering trees and warmed a little seed that lay on a wooded hillside. Tiny roots broke through the seed casing and burrowed into the earth, deeper and deeper in their search for food and water. It wasn't long before a small green shoot poked through the blanket of pine needles and reached toward the sky. "At last," exclaimed the new little fir tree, taking a deep breath of the pine-scented air. His tiny branches stretched upward, trying to catch a few scattered rays of sunshine streaming through thick tree branches overhead. He bent backwards and was surprised to see a grandfather fir tree smiling down at him. "Hi there, little fellow," the grandfather tree said kindly. "Welcome to shady woodland. I guess there's always room for one more around here." In silent awe, the little tree looked up at the towering fir and wondered, "Will I ever grow to be that tall?" Unfortunately, many evergreens, maples, and elms towered high above the littlest fir tree, and he would soon discover that their branches absorbed most of the summer sun and the fall rain, leaving only a scant amount to ever reach his sparse branches and roots. He had barely grown a foot when winter arrived. Silent snowflakes swirled from billowy clouds overhead and quietly covered the high branches above the little tree. That night, gusty winds buffeted the branches towering above him. Big piles of snow plopped down on the little tree, bending his branches low. More winds drifted the snowflakes around him, until only a few of his tip-top needles could be seen. Hidden under the soft white blanket, the little tree rested his needles. During the long winter months, he thrust his roots deeper and deeper into the dark soil, hoping to grow the next summer as mighty and majestic as the stately trees he so admired. When the snow finally melted and the air grew warmer, the little tree awoke with a surge of energy. It was time to grow taller, but he couldn't get the sun and the water he needed. The other trees got them first. As season after season passed, the straggly little tree could only stretch upwards a few inches at a time. "Will I ever grow up?" he wondered, bending this way and that, straining to catch flickers of sunshine filtering through the pine branches far above him. Feeling more and more hopeless, he realized, "I don't think I'll ever get enough sunlight or water to grow properly." 2 small drops of sap leaked from his trunk in sorrow. "I'll always be small and scruffy-looking, and not good for much of anything." Unfortunately, it was true, and as time passed, the littlest fir tree eventually gave up all his dreams of becoming strong and stately like the other trees of shady woodland. An important announcement. The Lord Most High is awesome. He is a great king over all the earth. Psalm 47:2. One day, as the golden sun arose at dawn, a loud flapping noise startled the littlest fir tree. He looked up to see a majestic eagle swoop through the highest treetops. The eagle flapped its wings in graceful rhythm as it loudly screeched, "Be alert! The time is drawing near. Get ready to receive the promised child, the son of the king." The eagle's announcement echoed across the hillside, stirring up great excitement along all the inhabitants of shady woodland. Trees rustled their leaves with eager anticipation. Animals and birds chattered together, making elaborate plans for this long-awaited event. The little tree knew something very important was about to happen. "What's going on?" he called out. He tried raising his voice so the other trees would take notice. "Hello, will someone please tell me what's happening?" The forest's inhabitants ignored his pleas, far too preoccupied with their own preparations. Feeling helpless, the little tree watched the busy activities with an anxious heart. He couldn't help feeling worried as he pondered the important proclamation. "Who is this promised child? What can I do for him?" he wondered. The older woodland trees murmured and fussed among themselves. They argued continually over who had the finest pine cones, the richest nuts, and the tastiest fruits. The little tree could plainly see that each of them wanted to be the one to give the very best gift to the king's son. One tall pine announced loudly, I will give the newborn child a basket filled with my largest, most perfectly shaped pine cones." "Just wait until you see my fine fruit," said the apple tree proudly. "These are the most delicious apples anyone could find. Nothing tastes better." "You're both quite mistaken," declared the pear tree. "I have the best gift of all. Nothing can match my sweet, juicy fruit." "Excuse me," said the plum tree. "I don't think any of you understand. My purple plums are the perfect gift for royalty, especially for the king's son." The grandfather evergreen interrupted them. "Wait a minute, all of you. What does a newborn baby want with pine cones or fruit? A baby only cares for his mother's milk. So I will prepare a gift that will last, one that he can enjoy for many days and years into the future. I will shape my branches into a beautiful wreath that will be the very best gift." As the woodland trees continued to boast and debate, other forest creatures gave final instructions to their young. "Search for the biggest and the best. Bring your treasures into the storehouse. Select only the best for our king's son." Small mice, squirrels, and rabbits scurried around excitedly, while the littlest fir tree watched and listened. "Who is this child?" he asked. "Who is the king?" None of the animals bothered to answer him as they scampered through the forest, calling to each other, "Gather grain and dried flowers from the meadow. Search out the juiciest figs and huckleberries." Their cries echoed through the hillside, the orchard, and the olive grove. "Bring the best seeds from every plant. Select the biggest acorns, pecans, and walnuts. Gather only the finest gifts for the son of our Creator King." The littlest fir tree had never seen such activity in the forest. What gift could I give? What if I can't think of any gift? The mere thought made his branches shudder from top to bottom. Would he be the only one without a present? What gift to give? Praise the Lord from the earth, mountains and all hills, fruitful trees and all cedars, creeping things and flying fowl. Psalm 148, 7 and 9 through 10. In the midst of the hustle and bustle of the gift preparations, a furry-tailed bundle suddenly fell from the branches overhead and landed with a thud near the littlest fir tree. "Help!" whimpered the young squirrel, lying motionless. "Please help me." Preoccupied, all the other animals hurried past without stopping. No one paid any attention to him. Nothing else mattered except the final preparations for the important birth. The kind-hearted little tree spoke up in his cheeriest voice. "I'll help you, don't worry." Spotting a sleek red fox bounding down the path in search of food, the little tree lowered one of his branches and urged, "Hurry, climb up and hide among my needles. Do it quickly, danger is near." Slowly, the injured squirrel limped closer, climbed onto one of the branches, and crouched down near the trunk. As the fox came ever closer, the little tree whispered, "Shh, be very still. Nestle quietly in my branches. Relax and stay as long as you want." The young red squirrel leaned his head against the small but sturdy trunk as the littlest fir tree hummed a lullaby, swayed in the breeze, and rocked him to sleep. It felt good to have a warm, furry bundle snuggled close to his trunk, and it felt even better to know he helped save the youngster from certain death. Later, when the squirrel woke up, the little tree asked him, "Do you have a gift for the newborn?" "Oh yes," the squirrel smiled broadly. "My family is going to give him our finest acorns and walnuts, the very best treasures in our storehouse." Perplexed, the little tree asked, "Can you tell me who this newborn is who is coming, and why everyone is so excited?" "Well, my daddy said the King of Creation promised long ago to send his son. Finally, he is coming. He will be born in the village near the bottom of our hillside. He will be a human baby." "A human baby? But why is he coming? What will he do?" "Something very special," said the squirrel excitedly. "He's going to fix all that has gone wrong on the earth. He will bring us the love of our Creator King, and he will show us a new way to live. Nothing will ever be the same again." Then the young squirrel hopped down and scurried off into the forest. A shiver rippled through the little tree's branches, all the way down his trunk. What good news? He could hardly wait for the big event. That night, unable to sleep, the littlest fir tree wondered at it all. Peering through the thick branches overhead, he watched millions of stars sparkling high above the earth. His heart swelled with joy at the thought of the promised child. The son of our Creator King is coming. Is he the one who scattered the stars in the sky? Is he the one who paints the sunset and designs the snowflakes? Did he make everything in the forest, even me? I want to give the king's son a worthy gift, he said out loud, although no one was listening. I'm willing to give him everything I have, but... He paused and thought for a moment. But what do I have to give? Taking a deep breath of night air, pungent with the scent of pine, he thought and thought. What gift could I give that is worthy of a king? Time to give gifts. For everyone to whom much is given, from him will be much required. Luke 12:48. Early the next morning, a bright red cardinal landed on a branch of the little tree. The littlest fir tree looked down and said, "Hello there, red bird. Please tell me what you will give the king's son." The bird cocked his head and smiled proudly. "When the dear child is born, I will pluck the finest feather from one of my wings and take it to him. Nothing is too good for the king's son." The littlest fir tree sighed. A bright red feather would be a beautiful present. He lifted his thin green branches. Now he was painfully aware of his inability to offer even one small gift. All too soon the eagle arrived once again, bringing the long-awaited news. "The promised child has arrived at last. Come to honor him. Bring your gifts to the place of his birth." Woodland birds, animals, and trees selected the finest of all they had gathered. Carrying their treasures, they began the happy procession to the village at the bottom of the hill. The little tree's branches bounced with excitement as he moved forward to join the procession. But he didn't get very far. "Stop!" The apple tree waved his branches and shouted at him. "Where do you think you're going?" Although he knew he didn't have a gift, the little tree still wanted to go to the village with everyone else. His quivering branches hung low as he stammered softly, I just want to honor the king and his son." The apple tree scowled. "It's disgraceful, unthinkable. Your scrawny branches are completely empty." A stately oak, laden with acorns, scoffed at the little tree. "Please stay right where you are. Don't embarrass us by coming. The king would be very displeased." The little tree's branches drooped. He moved aside, hoping no one else would say anything more to humiliate him. Silently, he watched the birds fly toward the village, while other creatures descended the hill with their gifts. He felt awed by the assortment of gifts: elaborate wreaths, huge pine cones, bunches of grapes, stalks of wheat and grain, baskets filled with dripping honeycombs, along with an impressive variety of nuts, fruits, and berries. The little tree wept silent drops of sap, which rippled down his trunk. He had nothing to give, nothing at all. Sadly, he stared as everyone disappeared out of sight. Standing in the strange silence, the little tree realized he had never felt so alone. Utterly dejected, his branches hunched over and hung down low. Suddenly, he was startled by the voice of his young squirrel friend. "Look, these little ones need help." The little tree looked down and saw the young red squirrel pointing at two little mice shivering near his trunk. "Hey there, what's wrong?" The little tree asked kindly. "Can I help you?" "We're lost," they sobbed. "We got separated from our mother in the crowd. Now we don't know where to go or what to do. How will we ever find her?" The little tree smiled and gently wrapped a branch around them. "Don't worry, little ones, you're not lost. You just found me. I'll take you down the hill, and I'm sure that together we can find your mother." Glad for an excuse to follow the other woodland creatures, the little tree's sorrow now turned to anticipation. As he bent his branch low so the mice could climb aboard, he felt his heart swell with happiness about the prospect of helping reunite the little mice with their mother. And he hoped he would get a brief glimpse of the king's son after all. Heading down the hillside. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. Luke 10:27. The squirrel moved over to make room for the two young mice, who scrambled up the trunk of the littlest fir tree. After each of them grabbed hold of a branch, the little tree straightened up and headed down the hillside path. He knew he would receive an angry response from the other trees when they saw him, but he determined nothing would deter him from his quest. Partway down the hill, the little tree spotted a mother blue jay hovering above the pathway, fluttering her wings and circling an object on the ground. "Be careful," the mother bird shrieked at him. "Watch out for my nest." It slipped off the branch of a giant pine tree, but he wouldn't stop. He wanted to be the first one to see the king's son. "Could you please help me? My precious egg is almost ready to hatch." "Don't worry," the little tree assured her, carefully edging his branch under the nest. "Come and rest on your egg. I will keep you both safe." Greatly relieved, the blue jay settled herself on her nest. The littlest fir tree descended the hill, moving more slowly and carefully. He made a great effort to hold his branches steady, so his passengers wouldn't worry about falling off. A warm glow spread out to the tip of each branch. It felt good to be able to care for others in need. But he couldn't stop worrying about whether he would be able to find the mother mouse. And he couldn't help but dread what might happen when the other trees discovered he had come to see the child. It wasn't long before he had a new problem to worry about. The sun was setting. How would they find their way in the dark? Coming to a split in the pathway, he wondered. Which path is the right one? If I take the wrong path, we may never arrive at the birthplace of the king's son. "It's no use," he told the others. "I don't know which way to go. We might as well turn back. Soon it will be too dark to go any further." The mother bird pointed with her wing. "Try the path on the left. The village is in that direction." So the little tree bravely continued on, barely able to see the narrow pathway in front of him. Suddenly, strange noises rapidly approached from behind him. He froze in fear. The unfamiliar sounds grew louder and louder. Then a flickering light appeared, and the little tree saw shadowy figures of 4 humans with long sticks in their hands. Their voices sounded excited as they rushed past without noticing them. "Hurry, we're almost there. Search every stable for our newborn king. Remember what the angel said." The littlest fir tree trembled with excitement. "We're on the right path," he told his passengers. "Hang on, I'll go as fast as I can. We must be close." Arrival at the birthplace. "He will be great and will be called the Son of the Highest, and the Lord God will give him the throne of his father David. Of his kingdom there will be no end." Luke 1:32-33. By the time the littlest fir tree reached the bottom of the hillside, the sun had completely set. Nevertheless, he could still make out the shadowy figures of many of the woodland creatures, standing near a stable's entrance at the edge of the village. The little tree sighed. It would be impossible to see the newborn child with so many gathered round. Perhaps the darkness would at least prevent the other trees from noticing him as he tried to move closer. Finally, the little tree and his friends reached the gathering. The mother bird whispered, "It's my fault that you're the last one here. I'm so sorry." In a low voice, the little tree whispered back, "I wasn't supposed to come here at all. I have nothing to give. I just hope I can help the lost mice find their mother. And don't feel bad. I'm glad I could help you." Now the other trees became aware that he had approached. Scowling, they turned to block him with a wall of their branches. "Get back," they warned. "What are you doing here? You have no gift." The littlest fir tree didn't say a word. It would do no good to try to explain. Hanging his branches down low, he obediently inched backward. "It's no use," he whispered to his passengers. "We can't get any closer. Now we'll never get to see the king's son." Even though he had given up all hope of seeing the newborn, he didn't want to miss this opportunity to praise his Creator, the King of Heaven. Reverently, he bowed his branches, cautious of his precious cargo, and silently prayed. "Oh, great King of all, I just want to honor you. I'm so glad your son has come. I lift my heart to you, my Creator. Thank you for your great love. Thank you for sending your son to bless the world, to bless me. I'm sorry I have no gift for him. My thanks and my praise are all I have to offer." His heart overflowed with joy as he thought about the promised child. Deep in prayer, the little tree didn't know the King of Heaven was watching him from overhead. He never saw the powerful angel standing near the king's throne. He didn't hear the king give instructions to his angel servant. He didn't see the angel soar high into the sky. And the little tree never heard the angel call out, "All you stars of the heavens, hearken unto your Maker. come quickly to earth and light up the branches of the littlest fir tree. North wind, come from afar. Blow your frosty crystals over the little tree and make him shine from top to bottom." A whirlwind surged through the highest heavens, gathering up thousands of stars, and then plummeted toward earth. All the while, the little tree remained oblivious to what was happening. His thoughts were focused completely on the wondrous gift in the stable. A blast of the north wind blew the stream of glittering stars toward the little tree. Cascading from the dark blue sky, the stars landed upon every branch of the littlest fir tree. Their bright glow spread as sparkling stars lit up each frosty bough with radiant, shimmering light. "Oh," cried the mice, "look, little tree, you're all sparkly and shiny." The little tree lifted his scrawny branches and looked at them. Each one glowed with bright light. He felt a warmth that penetrated clear to the inside of his trunk. "What is shining so brightly?" he wondered. Astonished, he realized that the brilliant display of light emanated from thousands of sparkling stars clustered all over his branches. "Oh," he blurted out, "it's me." The other trees and forest creatures turned around and gasped. Speechless, they could only stare at the transformed little tree. His glittering branches glowed with frosty starlight. In awe, the other trees slowly moved back, opening a path to the stable. Exalting the humble. God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. James 4:6. Looking into the stable, the littlest fir tree saw a tall man standing beside a beautiful young girl who held the tiny baby in her arms. Kneeling beside the manger were the shepherds who ran past the little tree on the hillside path. Slowly and hesitantly, the little tree moved a step forward to get a better look. He felt unsure of what to do or say. The mother spoke gently to him. "Come closer, little tree," she urged. "You are most welcome here." But, I really shouldn't have come," stammered the little tree. Dropping his branches, he whispered the dreaded words, "I have no gift." Her warm smile and beckoning hand urged him closer. At last, the little tree gazed deeply into the eyes of the sweet baby boy. Quietly, the little tree whispered, "Hello, son of our Most High King. Welcome to the world. I'm so glad you came. I wish I had a gift for you." With eyes as dark and shining as a clear night sky, the baby looked sweetly at him and smiled. His two small hands stretched toward the little tree in blessing. Then a tall, shining angel appeared beside the mother and child. "Greetings, most honored tree," the angel said. "God the King accepts your thanks and praise. They proceed from the best gift of all, the gift of your heart. Each time you served others, you did what the King's Son has come to do. Now receive your King's blessing. Go in peace. Continue to love and serve your Creator. You will always be remembered for your humble service and your thankful heart." The littlest fir tree would never forget that moment. Overwhelming joy and peace flooded his whole being. He was loved and accepted by the Creator King. He did have a gift to give. He knew his life would never be the same. The next morning, after the little tree helped the young mice find their mother, he carried the squirrel, along with the mother blue jay in her nest, back up the hill. To his surprise, all the woodland creatures honored him by giving him a wide open space at the very top of the hill. There he could breathe the fresh morning air, soak in the warm sunshine, enjoy the evening sunsets, and watch the moon and stars at night. At last, the littlest fir tree grew taller and fuller each day. His branches became a favorite nesting place for small birds and animals. All the forest creatures looked up to him and followed the example of his kindness and generosity. They never tired of hearing the story of the time when the littlest fir tree had been covered with stars. And each year, when shady woodland celebrated the birth of the King's Son, thousands of glittering stars in the heavens descended again to light up the very first Christmas tree. The true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for the Father is seeking such to worship him. John 4:23. The The history of the Christmas tree. Evergreen trees, with their changeless color and long-lasting needles, have long been used as symbols of life. However, over 1,000 years ago, a monk by the name of Boniface is said to have been the first person to use an evergreen tree to help teach people about God. Boniface explained that the shape of the evergreen tree, which looks like a triangle from the side view, could help us understand God. Just as a three-sided triangle has three separate lines and corners, so our Lord God is one God, yet made up of three separate and distinct persons: Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Some say that Martin Luther was the first person to bring a tree inside his home to celebrate Christmas. One clear, frosty night, as he walked home through the woods after a Christmas Eve church service, it appeared that thousands of twinkling lights were lighting up the trees. It turned out that what looked like lights was actually starlight reflecting off tiny icicles hanging from the evergreen branches and needles. So Martin Luther cut down a small evergreen and took it home to his family. He set it up in his living room as a reminder of the living presence of Jesus among us. Martin Luther also was credited with using small candles on the tree's branches as a reminder of Jesus Christ being the light of the world. Later, as more people celebrated the birth of Christ, they often decorated evergreen trees with glass ornaments and trinkets, or sweet treats such as breads, candy, and cookies. Many other symbolic ornaments were added as reminders of the Christmas star, the angels, and the shepherd's lambs.